Hi, I'm Ksenia, and today in our free astrology lessons we are looking at Uranus's transit through the 8th house. Now we've been working our way through Uranus's transit of what will be Taurus. In fact, this is the final week that we will be looking at it from a perspective of Uranus not being yet in Taurus. As of this week, when this video is launched online, Uranus will be moving into Taurus at long last, and we're all looking forward to that. But what it means to have Uranus, transiting a house, let's take a look generally, and I do apologize for those who've tuned into every one of these Uranus transit videos, because I do like to start off with an explanation of what Uranus is, what he rules, and what his transit period is like, for those who haven't yet caught that. So Uranus takes 84 years to go around the whole chart, and because of that, that's the course of a lifetime, as you can imagine. 84 years is usually roughly how long we live, sometimes more, sometimes less, but generally that's about the ballpark. And for each of us, he will spend, if we live to 84, he will spend 7 years in a particular sign, which according to the system of astrology I use is whole sign astrology. That means one period of 7 years in every single house in the horoscope. And so he will influence that house once in a lifetime, but the period is 7 years long where that influence is unfolding. Now Uranus's influence, is nothing to be sniffed at. Uranus, he brings upheaval, he brings change, he brings lots of roller coaster moments, and it's all for the purpose of our liberation, to help make us more authentic, to help make us more real and true to who we are. Really what Uranus wants to do is break us free from any bondage that we might have in a certain area of our life. So if it was the 4th house, we might have some bondages or some habits or behaviors that are really holding us back from authenticity and being truly ourselves, connected to our family, our heritage, our roots, our lineage, which is what the 4th house represents. If Uranus is transiting the 7th house, he might be looking to break you free from any relationship patterns that are really holding you back from being happy and true and authentic, and living a life of liberation. So regarding relationship and marriage. So this is they're the fields that Uranus works in, and how he works is usually by shaking things up, getting you out of a rut, making you come unstuck, basically. And sometimes, depending on our character and the nature of our natal chart, sometimes we don't want to come unstuck. Sometimes we're very fixed. We are like, no, I'm not changing, and no, I'm happy with the status quo and the way things are, even though circumstantially it might be just a terrible situation that you're in. I mean, we've all observed or seen stories on the TV and what have you about women who stay with abusive partners and everything, even though every reason in the world to leave, they don't and because they stay stuck in their paradigm. But Uranus says, no way, we're changing this, we're getting you out of this condition, whatever it happens to be. So we're going to be looking at Uranus's transit through the 8th house today, and what he's going to be invigorating, what he's going to be changing and shaking up for people who are having an 8th house transit. Now at the time when I'm launching this video, Libra is going to be the rising sign that will be having a Uranus transit for the next 7 years to their 8th house. First house is here where the arrow is, the rising sign. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 is Taurus. So it's their 8th house. Now if you're watching this video down the track and you're trying to figure out, oh my goodness, well, like I don't know what Uranus transit I'm having, then I'd encourage you to perhaps jump onto a site like astro.com or planetwatcher.com. Planetwatcher.com is a good one. It'll tell you where the planets are right now, and so you can find out, well, what sign is Uranus in. Maybe in 14 years time you look at planetwatcher.com and you see here's Uranus in the sign of Cancer, and so you can figure out, okay, so if he's in Cancer and I know my rising sign happens to be, let's say, Virgo, then I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 houses. That's the transit I'm having, Uranus transit to the 11th house. You can then go and look at the video that I've made for that one and get the information there. So that's just how to figure out where Uranus is transiting for you at any given moment. Planetwatcher.com, a great one, and you probably need to know your rising sign to be able to then make the assessment. I'm sorry, I'm coming to this with an assumption that people will generally know enough astrology or know their own chart to at least know their rising sign when they're watching this video. So my apologies if you're very fresh to astrology. If you are and you want to discover what your rising sign is, where your moon is, where your sun is, you could go to astro.com and plug in your details and get a chart then that will tell you what each of those components are and where each of the planets fall for you. But I'll do a basic course one of these days which will show us how to figure those sorts of things out. But for now, we're looking at, for Libra rising, right at this point in time in 2019, Libra rising people are about to embark on a 7-year transit of Uranus to the 8th house. What does this look like? What's it all about? This is a transit that is going to help you realize your own power and potential. This is a house, the 8th house is a house of power, of discovering your own power and embracing your own personal power. So when Uranus is here, he's going to say, right, let's get real with this. Let's make this happen. We are going to step into our own personal power with this transit. There's an exceptional capacity during this 7 years to tap into unseen powers as well, because the 8th house is a house connected to hidden realms, anything that is secret, skeletons in the cupboard, you know, things that aren't mainstream are seen by the 8th house. This is why the 8th house, this is why the 8th house rules astrology, because it's definitely not mainstream, and it, you know, it also energy healing, mysticism, metaphysics, esoteric practices. These are all alternative things. So any of these sorts of things, we have a capacity to really tap into in a powerful way when Uranus transits the 8th house. Because interestingly enough, Uranus is an alternative planet. He correlates with alternative practices. So Uranus rules astrology. So here we are, the house that's connected to astrology, because it's a hidden thing, it's not mainstream, is the 8th house. And the planet that rules astrology is transiting through the 8th house. So definitely a time where you might get a passion to explore astrology, to understand astrology, to research astrology at a very deep level during this transit. Also energy healing. I mean, Uranus is, like I said, it's an alternative planet. So any type of alternative healing methods like energy work and Reiki and anything that's a bit, you know, a bit left of center. That's Uranus. Essentially, he's a bit of a rebel. He's a bit of, I don't do it the normal way, I do it my way, thank you very much. He's an individual. So you're going to, you know, tap into sort of unseen areas of life that are very unique and very quirky and very left of center in this case. But it's also a house of research, the 8th house. So it's, as is the 12th, but it's a desire to go deep with whatever it is that you're interested in. So particularly anything that's about exploring the soul and the mysteries of the universe. And the 8th house is kind of a combo of both of those. The exploration of the soul, it's connected to psychology, one of the houses that is connected to psychology and understanding our subconscious. And it's so, you know, the mysteries of the soul, but also the mysteries of the universe, the hidden things, the things that we aren't all consciously aware of in the universe. So you're going to be particularly fascinated by this. I would encourage you, if you are Libra rising, as a Libra rising sign, and having this transit, to perhaps sign up to like Gaia, the TV station, and so you can really indulge in exploring these hidden mysteries and mysteries of the soul and things that aren't mainstream on TV. It's also, the 8th house is, like I said, it's a combo of the two, the mysteries of the soul and the mysteries of the universe. And this is another reason why the 8th house is connected to astrology, because astrology is all about the mysteries of our soul and who we are as people, connecting to the mysteries of the divine realms, the heavens, the universe. So this is another reason why astrology is ruled by the 8th house in terms of the house rulerships. So Uranus is very, very at home here. He is connected to us through having, and I've described this in some of the videos before, he has one foot in the physical realm, and sometimes we get goosebumps and tingles down our spine. We see volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. These are things Uranus rules, because he is sometimes visible, rarely, but he is visible to the naked eye sometimes. The rest of the time you need a telescope to see him. He's hidden. And so he correlates to our celestial realms, our subconscious realms, our connection to the divine. So he has one foot in the camp of earthly reality, because sometimes he's visible as above, so below. Sometimes he is visible, so our visible reality reflects him sometimes. And sometimes, most of the time, he's invisible to the naked eye, and therefore he correlates mostly to our inner psychic realms. And I've just gone blank on why I was using that illustration. Never mind, I'll keep moving. Uranus in the 8th house means that our direct life experiences are what is going to bring us insight and enlightenment and more truth. So we grow through this transit by having direct life experiences. And these are usually, as with the 8th house, experiences that can cause a bit of upheaval. A little bit of, well, crisis is seen by the 8th house. Now this doesn't, having Uranus here does not mean that you're going to suddenly get more crisis in your life and that the crises are going to be just way out of control. Not at all, actually. Because with Uranus here, you're going to embrace change. You're going to be like welcoming of it. Yep, I'm totally ready for more change and more evolution of who I am, more death and rebirth type experiences. And it's because Uranus is so strong and so healthy and so powerful in the 8th house, it's going to happen in easy, kindly ways in your life. You're not even going to hardly notice any, like, it's not that upheaval won't come, but you'll be so ready for it, so in the zone with it, that it won't really cause a ripple. There'll be no more identification with the ego through this transit, no more desire to, say, control or dominate. This is a house of, it correlates a bit with Pluto, control, domination, manipulation, ultimate power. And Uranus here is about equality, the brotherhood of man, friendships. And so there, with Uranus being here in the 8th house, the desire to assert the ego, have control, have dominance, it's broken. It's broken away, and you're going to be far more at ease with all of humanity. You're going to want to sort of cease controlling the situations and people in your life and start to feel more at one. The brotherhood of man seen by the planet Uranus. So that's actually a really good thing. It can neutralize that sort of hard effect of the 8th house needing control and power. As I said, there's an embracing and there's an ease of change, ease of transformation, ease of rebirthing into new paradigms for you with this. There's no, you're not going to fight it. You're not going to sort of dig in and put your head down and no way, as we sometimes can do when crisis and trauma comes into our life. We sort of dig in and fight. You're not going to have a desire to do that. In fact, you will actually crave change, like I said, in healthy ways. It doesn't mean you're going to go out and do crazy, stupid stuff. It means that you are going to actually desire the transformation that usually comes with crisis moments. And crisis moments aren't going to throw you for a 6 like ordinarily they would. Anyone with Uranus in the 8th house natally knows this. They kind of, you just know how to roll with the punches. It's like, yep, this will teach me something, bring it on. And you just go with it. I have Uranus in the 8th house, so that is how it is. You can also embrace your God-given spiritual gifts and abilities. It's actually quite a spiritual house, the 8th house, because it's connected to the hidden mysteries, the subconscious, the divine. So you can embrace your particular talents and they get enhanced and invigorated and electrified, and you get excited about whatever your particular talents are. Just say you have a particular ability to do energy healing, and you put your hands on someone and you can feel the heat, Reiki kind of stuff, and while you are actually more empowered with that, excited about that, want to explore it more, want to embrace it more. Say you've always had a fascination with astrology. Well, this transit can happen and you're like, bring it on. I'm doing a course, I'm going to research it, I'm going to embrace my natural flair and ability for astrology. You might just decide that psychology is your thing, that you really love psychology and you want to get down to the nitty-gritty of it and understand what was Carl Jung on about when he was talking about this, that, or the other, or, you know, let's look into Steiner and what he was all about, and you just want to really just crave all that stuff. You're going to embrace your natural spiritual gifts or leanings in a certain area of life. Now, it's also a period of time of your life when you will break free from any control mechanisms. As I sort of alluded to a moment ago, this is a house of control. So you're going to break free, Saturn is breaking free from control mechanisms. Any fears that you harbor, any sort of skeletons in the closet can actually be brought out into the light, and any manipulative behaviors that present themselves in your life through others, because this is actually connected to realms of others. It's other people's property, it's other people's money, seen by the 8th house. And so any type of manipulation that you're receiving regarding, you know, family inheritances or wills and that sort of thing, you can break free from control through those mechanisms, and other mechanisms as well. Just say somebody's controlling you through religion, or controlling you through belief systems, or, you know, imposing their will on you in some way. You can say, screw you, thank you very much, but I am my own person now. And it's very individualizing and empowering in that way. You learn to actually embrace your own self-will, your own sense of personal power, your own control. Because although Uranus is connected to the hoi polloi, the common man, the masses, he is also a very individual planet. Not individual in the manner of Leo or the Sun, where it's, here I am, look at me, I'm the superstar. He is much more, I know who I am, I'm unique, and I have a role to play and something to contribute to the societal organism. It's not saying I'm better than, or I'm different, or usually you are different than when you've got strong Uranus in your chart, but it's not saying I'm better than, it's saying I am different in order that I can bless the community, because we are all different and we all have something unique and special to offer the world. So you will break free from any type of, like I was saying, any type of control mechanisms, fears and manipulation by becoming more individual, by becoming more true to yourself. This is just generally what Uranus does in every single house. He enables us to embrace our individuality, our uniqueness, our eccentricity even. And in doing so, we break free from any control when we have a Uranus transit to the 8th house. So through being yourself, through being an individual, through standing in your own personal power and your own self-will, you will break free from dominance from outside forces. Now, this is a smooth and empowering transit. Like I said, you know, you won't even notice any shocking events or upheavals that tend to go with a Uranus transit. You just cruise with them. So, you know, a lot of people have heard that the 8th house is a bad house in Vedic astrology, but the transit of Uranus in the 8th house is actually a smooth ride. It's not the roller coaster that it is in other houses. So that is something to be embraced and rejoice over, let me tell you. You're not going to notice any upheaval. The transformation is also likely to be quite internal with this transit. So this is a house of transformation, death and rebirth, death to the old you and birth into the new. So the transformations you're going to experience are very internal transformations, changes within you, changes to your worldviews, changes to your understanding of self and your place in the world, the psychology of who you are. The subconscious self is going to actually be more revealed, and you're going to have a greater understanding of who you are, which causes transformation. You might get experimental with things like astral travel, regressions, past life regressions, and energy work, as I mentioned earlier, and a potential to break free from your own possessive and controlling emotions as well. So things like jealousy, envy, dominance, that sort of thing, where you have to possess someone or control someone. There's time for breaking free of that. So if you have been jealous of someone and it's been driving you bonkers, you're like, I hate this feeling, I don't know how to get rid of it. Along comes Uranus to the 8th house, it's gone. Goodbye, thank you very much, no more jealousy. Yay! So that's a bonus with this transit too. Now, it's a good time with this transit to surrender to the past in order to be able to regenerate and create your own future, a new future. So it's an end of an era. This is a house of endings and new beginnings. It's the end of an era, but you're so ready for it. You're so like, bring it on, had enough, new paradigm, new start, new life. Let's be reborn, let's regenerate. So great time for doing that with Uranus here. You're going to be enthused about it, excited about it, G'd up about it. So it's an exciting and liberating time also for your sex life, because the 8th house rules sex lives. So you become more free, more liberated, more empowered, more honest and truthful with what you really do enjoy or don't enjoy. You're going to be much more upfront and direct, and even a bit more detached regarding sex with your partner. That can actually serve you really well. And so in that you will be, be able to say, well, look, I really hate it when you do such and such, and I'd much rather if you do X, Y, Z. And you're like, okay, let's give that a crack, and away you go, and you have much more fun and much more joy and much more authenticity in your sex life. So it's very invigorating and empowering for lovers, for married partners who need a bit of spicing up in their love lives, and even for boyfriends, girlfriends, type situations. You'll really be more experimental, willing to try new things, looking at, researching even, other sexual techniques, and getting interested in tantra and things like that. So it's a great transit for invigorating your sex life. Bring it on. Lucky you guys. But it's also a transit where you will shed any self-consciousness that you have in this area, and you'll be more receptive, more open, more embracing of new things. So very, very good. It's also a house of legacies. So insurance payouts, wills, and any type of work compensation payouts and things like that. So you might be the recipient of those sorts of things during this time, during this transit. So it depends what your natal chart looks like, whether it indicates that you'll be benefited or blessed in that way. But generally, on a general level, you stand during this transit for the next 7 years to gain in some manner from unexpected inheritances and so forth. Now, financial partnerships during the next 7 years, they might ebb and flow a little bit. They might be, this is where things can get a bit roller coaster-ish, you might have an experience of, business partner, you've got a financial partner and it's going really well, and then suddenly something happens and it's like, that connection is gone and out the door. So I just want to encourage people with Libra rising people, or anyone else having a Uranus 8th house transit, be very cautious about who you collaborate with on a financial level. If you're looking for a new share manager or something like that, someone to manage your shares or your financial resources or something, be very cautious and very wise about who you choose, because there can be a little bit of upheaval and ebb and flow with regard to this sort of thing. So if you've had somebody for years who's your financial planner or financial manager, stick with them. Don't go changing at this time. Stick with someone you know and trust, and don't make any big changes to that sort of thing. So you might also be a bit unconventional. Uranus is unconventional, like I said, very left of center, with regard to where you can obtain loans from. This is a house that pertains to loans, other people's money from the bank to help you do what you want to do. And so you need to, you might even be very unconventional about where you source money from during this time for loans, and you might even take more risks as well financially with this placement. It's, possibly risks could pay off with Uranus here. It's not it's not a, you know, like I said, it's the ebbs and flows and crises and things like that are generally easier with this transit of Uranus to the 8th house. So you could theoretically try, you know, more risky ventures. You'd probably be more inclined to try more risky ventures, but I would seek wise financial counsel before doing anything. It doesn't matter what transit you're going through. It's always a good idea to get some wise input from someone with some knowledge and understanding of those sorts of things. So make sure you do that, and if you're still comfortable with it, if you're feeling like at a gut level, yeah, I can do this, this is going to be good, then run with it. Take the opportunity, and it may just really pay off well for you. So it's also a time for researching and increasing your own financial understanding. So you might like to do a short course in maybe running your own business finances, or learning how to invest well, or understanding the share market, that sort of thing. And it's a really good time for doing some research, because this is a house of research around financial matters and managing particularly other people's financial interests. It's also a transit that's going to bring you a lot of light bulb moments, you know, a lot of psychic downloads, a lot of insights, maybe even access to past life memories. So you might be just, you know, constantly going, aha, now I understand, or cha-ching, goosebumps, it's all making sense to me, because this is very much an intuitive house. And so the planet that is a planet that is connected to intuition, which is Uranus, can really be activating intuitive insights of that nature. And finally, with this transit, it is all about the invigoration of yourself. And I say that because it's a house of regeneration, rebirth, and transformation of the self. So you are going to be very invigorated at a soul level through this transit. At the end of this 7-year period, you're going to look back and say, wow, look at where I've come from. Look at the transformation that occurred. Look at the knowledge that I now possess that I didn't have before, because I've done all this research in finance, or, you know, astral travel, or past life regression. And you're just going to be like, my gosh, I have come so far. I am not that person that I was then. And we all change usually in 7-year increments, but it's particularly transformative when you've got Uranus transiting the 8th house. You will really be turned around 180 degrees. So good luck with this transit if you're about to undergo it. I hope it brings you much benefit, much insight, and much wisdom. And I look forward to joining you next week for Uranus's transit through the 9th house.